where He would have us be, where He would have us be at home with Him. May I give you welcome at last to the end of this association in space-time, where you have decided to make application of a thought process that was contained within your own body formulation, that you have now decided to augment with ideas of love and truth and promises of you that have been surrounding you since the beginning of time. Remember? Remember the advent of a great awakening? Remember the idea of a memory that has been with you within your body form since the beginning of time? Remember with me the passion of your self-consciousness identity that you were using in the ideas of a location of yourself in body form, in replications of what was never true within the entirety of your location in space and time, in space and time, in space and time, in space and time, that were never true, that were never true, that were never true. Now, the memory of what appears to be a repetition of your mind in recognition of the entirety of you is very simply contained within the power of your mind, a dedication that you have been successful in making application of yourself, of the totality of your awareness. Let's use a term here. Falsity. Will you say that to me? Say falsity. Yes.
Falsity.
Falsity, yes. The idea of the falseness of the reflection of light that was denying you the entirety of access of the truth of whom you cannot be. Practice? Say to me, truth. Did you see that with me? Could you see the idea of the possibility of an association within your own mind, of the inevitability of the truth of a singular entirety of reality in all of the universe? A simple admission that if truth itself is true, there could be no other than that, as you examine within your mind a process of decision that heretofore has made it possible, look with me, your capacity of your conceptual self to judge within your own mind in a determination, are you listening, of what you wanted to be true, along with what you wanted to be false. Listen with me. The moment that the idea of other than truth entered into procedures of your conceptual identity of yourself, are you going to hear this with me now? Say to me, I was entirely false. Of course. In other words, truth is going to be the entirety of the universal mind of the power of God to decide the procedure of practice of your mind in which, say to me, a miracle will occur. Say it.
A miracle will occur.
Yes. A miracle of your mind in the mind training of yourself in this Course in Miracles from this so-called master teacher who has undergone his own revelatory occurrence through a crucifixion of his mind that forced him directly into determining that there was no resolution in what could only be the falsity of where he was in space-time. And now, with the resurrection of our body formulation of perfection, in ideas of picturing, of association of the energy of our conceptual self, we have begun to recognize ourselves. How simple the solution is. If you let it be only what it must be, and we've been using this word anthropic, haven't we? Anthropic is nothing but the idea that finally there's going to be a single source of everything. It could take 1,000,000 years, 10,000 years, or 2 seconds, or no time at all, except the time of transition from space-time. But it will be fundamentally the admission of a single source of reality. Now, however long that took you, obviously does not concern me and my illuminate rise and rising up from the death idea that I have, very simply because the perfect body in a moment of transition is with us now. I promised Jesus in the course at the end of this interlude that I would retain with you perhaps 4 possibilities of what I'm attempting to say to you. And the most simple and direct one would be the question that if you are involved in a course in miracle, a course must be a learning procedure of conceptual self-identity, wherein you attempt to gain knowledge of who you are in your arrangement. And the simple lesson would be the miracle of recognition of the inevitability of your comparison without comparing yourself with something else. But if you want a simple idea of what a miracle would have to be in our mind identity, it would have to, at the moment where there was a lack of totality of correspondence, emanating from a single moment in all of space and time, it would require, okay, say to me, a correction.
A correction?
Yeah, a correction, yes. If you're mistaken, you have answered falsely from outside of time on the simple question that was asked you, and that's the reason that you need a miracle. It's a correction in space-time. Listen. What is a miracle? A miracle is a correction. It does not create nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. That's what we're talking about, isn't it? The falsity of your concept. It undoes error, but does not attempt to go beyond perception, nor exceed the function of forgiving yourself, of forgiving your enemy, who is a reflection of your own falsity. Thus, it stays within time's limits, yet it paves the way for the return of timelessness and love's awakening. For fear must slip away under the gentle remedy that it brings. A miracle contains the gift of grace, for it is given and received as one. And thus, it illuminates the law of truth that the world does not obey because it fails entirely to understand its way. Here we go, listen carefully. A miracle inverts perception, which was upside down before, and thus it ends the strange distortion that were manifest by this miscorrection of the reverse of cause and effect. Now is perception open to the truth. Now is forgiveness seen as justified.